Hello everyone, and welcome to the Magikarp YouTube channel. I'm Magikarp, and today we're doubling back to a video I just put out, a guide for the rolls on Cold Front, the kinetic 750 round per minute aggressive frame SMG that's out with the Dawning, and man, I gotta say, I really think Bungie had something really great that they messed up on. I've got quite a bit of opinions on this, but before I get too huffy and puffy about what I really hope they do and change and what I think is actually going to happen, a super quick reminder, if you enjoy the video and you want to see more like it, it would be fantastic if you could hit the subscribe button, help the channel reach its first milestone of 1,000 subs. It'll be the first major stepping stone to making YouTube videos for you guys for the future. So, let me explain what I think Bungie messed up. And as a quick aside, when I say Bungie messed up, I think it's prudent to say that when the studio messed up, that doesn't mean Bungie's bad, stupid, or lazy. That is a kind of rhetoric that I do not want to spread. That is not anything of which I want to say against the devs in a negative light, in a negative sense. Just because they mess something up doesn't mean that anyone's at fault per se. It's just I think something's wrong and I want to address in a different manner. So, when I was digging through weapon rolls, Cold Front was showing as having access to Dragonfly, previously a special or only heavy weapon perk, which in and of itself is a huge deal. We haven't had a perk in the kinetic slot like this on a legendary weapon in the entirety of Destiny 2. In Destiny 1, legendary weapons would roll with Firefly all the time. But currently, the only way of causing explosions with a kinetic weapon in Destiny 2 is Ace of Spades, sort of with Malfeasance and Outbreak perfected, and Warlocks having Chromatic Fire exotic chest armor equipped, but currently, no legendary weapons on their own could do that. Seeing this SMG could roll with Dragonfly was already exciting, but it went even further than that. We know at this moment in time that Vault of Glass is coming back to Destiny, which was the crown jewel of Destiny's initial launch, and the crown jewel of crown jewels, the Fatebringer, had Outlaw and Firefly. And while Fatebringer was arced during its day, Fatebringer existed when our slots were primary, special, and heavy. So all shotguns were elemental, all scouts did kinetic damage, and so on. Fatebringer was special as a raid weapon in having elemental properties as a primary weapon. I'm doubtful that Bungie will make it so that all vault weapons are energy weapons, because then you couldn't run Fatebringer with Found Verdict or Praetorian Foil, so that already in my mind is kind of setting a foretold precedent. We know the SMG can roll Dragonfly, and it's a kinetic, and Fatebringer's coming back. They want to keep these thematics intact, so would that mean that the return of kinetics having explosive capabilities was on the horizon? And it made sense to me that the Cold Front would be the first one to test the waters with this perk. It's rolled around in the past, it never had a huge impact on the metagame at large, and people didn't use it too much outside of when the events are going on when you got them. And space stats were already low, why not give such an otherwise unimpressive and unremarkable weapon something cool to chase after? If it somehow becomes the best thing ever in PvE, which is doubtful considering that even the best roll of this weapon with Dragonfly will never be as single-handedly dominant as Recluse ever was, it would be a lot of fun and give us something to go after with this Dawning event besides the return of an LMG that we've gotten on a couple of different occasions in the past and a replacement for the Errant Tail. And it looked as though it was setting a precedent for us getting Dragonfly in the future for kinetics, and I was legitimately super excited for the Dawning this year. Then, in the hours following the launch of the event this year, DMG, community manager at Bungie, confirmed that the roll option for Dragonfly was not intentional. As of me writing this, no confirmation about what they're going to do is out about it just yet, but there is precedent for this in the sense that when Shot Package from Destiny 1 was removed from the game entirely, they shuffled the perks everyone got on their existing rolls of the weapons. You didn't have any one particular perk that you were guaranteed to get it replaced with. So now there's 3 scenarios that I see for this situation. My personal favorite scenario I doubt will happen is Bungie fixes the current buggy interfacing of the perk, where the explosions aren't visible in-game but they do damage, and making it an official perk to roll in the weapon. Scenario 2 is the worst case, which whatever perk you got in the last slot where Dragonfly currently is on your roll is completely randomized. And scenario 3 is where they replace a perk with a deterministic perk, like Rampage. This has happened before as well when Warden's Law, a very odd hand cannon that shot 2 bullets in one shot, wasn't working properly with 4th time's the charm on the curated roll, so they replaced that perk with Zen Moment. I don't know if that's different with non-curated roles. I'm not a systems engineer or a game developer. I don't know the mechanical difficulties surrounding this, but I would certainly hope that's the route it would take if Dragonfly were to be removed, as Rampage is the next best weapon perk on this column. But even that being said, I think that it's still a mistake if Bungie removes this perk. It's doing something nothing else in the game is doing. It's making the weapon actually legitimately viable, which I would assume you would want as a game developer to not waste a bunch of man hours making a gun that's effectively unusable unless you get the absolute best this role. And the thing is, it would not have been a game-breaking thing. The most powerful thing this SMG can do with this build is a sloppy second-rate Ikelos kinetic SMG with secondary Warmind cell capability with Dragonfly because the explosions register as solar damage, and even then, Ikelos beats it out in every statistical measure. So the only thing this even really does is give something niche and cool, and letting people diversify their arsenal a little bit. Other content creators won't even really be focusing on this, even if it was intentional. Fallout Plays and other PvP-focused content creators will bash over being mediocre in every way and not a meta choice. PvE tryhards like eQuagan know that it's not worth slotting in high-end content like a Grandmaster Nightfall farming, but even with all that being said, since this doesn't have a home in any of those higher-tier content spaces, where does it even fit? If it's not good enough to see play in these places, why am I even getting mad about this in the first place? It's mostly just because to me, these novelty weapons with niche fun perk combinations are what really make the game for me. These are the things that I like piecing things together, and I like having fun with this kind of thing. For example, in the current dungeon, they're able to get pinnacle rewards from, which I'm blanking on the name as of recording this because I have about 3 IQ. There's an SMG that you can get from that raid where I got one of the quintessential best rolls, at least in my opinion, with fluted barrel for maximum handling bonuses, auto-loading holster, and disruption break. So you're able to empty the magazine in its entirety against a boss that has a shield, or maybe an anti-barrier champion, since anti-barrier rounds is available for SMGs. The 50% damage bonus that you get with disruption break is legitimately super powerful. You switch to something like an Izanagi's, or a reconstruction recombination raid shotgun, or whatever you want. And this kind of weapon is not ever going to be the end-all be-all for PvE. Like, this is not something that people are going out of their way for. But it's so much fun to me to see these little cute combinations and just run with it. These type of things. The auto-loading holster disruption break SMG. A kinetic SMG with Dragonfly. People don't generally rave about these, but I just think that they're fun. And I think that if Bungie saw Coldfront wasn't going to break open the meta just because it got Dragonfly, we could see other weapons getting it as well. But it looks like it'll just be another instance of what Bungie will probably be Bungie sticking with a mandated policy on what weapons can get what perks for internal balancing and play patterns and roles people should be able to get on certain weapons, which has some slight amount of sense to some weapons. Like, I don't think kinetic primary weapons should have disruption break. That would be terrifying for Crucible's sake. You just fall over dead to somebody hitting you with a bow with one headshot. But Firefly was never king of the castle with Destiny 1 PvP, and especially with how much faster we can move in Destiny 2, I feel like that's even more the case. I think that the reason the perk is distributed solely to energy weapons in the first place was to increase its desirability. You can't get it on kinetics at all. If you want that ability to make things explode with headshots, you can only get it on that particular slot. So maybe it's to increase the viability of energy primary weapons, since they do 5% less damage against enemies in PvE. They do more damage to shields, but they do less damage to bodies. So in a sense, they're trying to make it so that you counterbalance your own weapon deficit damage by making it so you do more damage to spread out enemies. But even then, most people are going to grab Rampage for that, or Kill Clip, or Multi-Kill Clip, or Swashbuckler. There's a million perks that already do this, and they roll on both slots. And I really don't think that it's increasing its desirability at all. All it does is limit to where it can appear. It's not any better or worse on a kinetic or energy weapon under 99% of circumstances. The only thing that this weapon does in the first place by getting this perk is break it out of the mold by getting a perk that's historically been viewed as niche at best in one slot, but it's just happening to get it in another slot. I think that the worst part about this is most people would have gotten the cool niche weapon into their vault and forgotten about it. It would have never actually impacted anyone. It would have been fun to run in strikes or gambit or new activities that come out in the future, like if we ever get a sundial equivalent again. But as it stands, I just hate that this is going to be what will be a really bright side to this event being marred by the fact that this is Bungie we're talking about. There's not a chance in hell this gets to stay in the game. And if I'm wrong, I'll delete my hunter again. Oh boy, I'm gonna regret that one, aren't I? So, that's my whole rant. I hope it wasn't too negative. I just really wanted to go put this out in words, and hopefully this doesn't put me as a, Bungie's bad kind of light, because I really don't think that. They're one of the best game studios that I have ever had the pleasure of seeing do work. But, I'm just gonna go end the video here. That's my rant. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below and ring the bell for notifications on new videos. And if you want to see more, be sure to click on the videos on screen. And if you really want to help me out, consider joining me on my Patreon. Every little bit helps to keep my videos going and keep my lights on. We'll see you on the next video.